Welcome in, guys. We are live here today, doing this here for Better Odds Sports Betting. Kiev and I couldn't get a time together this week, so he might be doing something on his own personally. But uh, got a special guest here, Nick Hub, at Nick Hub Sports on Twitter. We're going to stream this here for Better Odds and also put it on Sports Wagering U on YouTube. If you're not following Sports Wagering U, definitely do that as well. Nick's part of that. We're excited about Sports Wagering U here as we go into 2022. Nick, a lot of big games ahead of us. How you doing?
It's going to be a fun weekend, Kyle. Thanks for having me on, man. I appreciate it.
Oh, I appreciate you coming in. I know it's short notice here, just kind of trying to get some talk about the playoffs here together. But I thought it was funny you've got the Nittany Lions hat on when I was using the Nittany Lions background for the whiteout. I will say I'm not necessarily a Penn State fan. Obviously, I'm a Buckeyes fan, but went to a whiteout game at Penn State once, and just an epic environment, the best environment I've ever been in for college football. Tremendous stuff.
Yeah, they
What's
do it right.
Oh
It's
yeah,
got to
definitely.
be top three, if not the best
Yeah,
environment for a night game, and it's got to be a night game. They come out with these stripe games too that they try to do the same thing. It's not the same,
agreed,
but
agreed. It's
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 awesome.
awesome, awesome stuff. So let's get into these playoff games here, Nick. We'll start out with Cincinnati and Alabama in the Cotton Bowl. This is our first game here coming up on Friday. Cincinnati plus 13 and a half pretty much across the board right now. Most of the bets are on Bama. The public's going to bet Bama in this game. We know that. Alabama dominating performance against Georgia. Nick, I think the question here is, is it the Alabama team we saw throughout the course of the regular season that had all those really close games, or is it the Bama team that just dominated Georgia? I mean, because that was a really impressive game against Georgia, certainly. I think that has made the line be higher than what it would have been by quite a bit. If they had just squeaked out a win against Georgia, we probably would have seen 10 max here in this one. And instead,
Hmm.
we've got 13 and a half. I'll start out here and say that the Bearcats defense is excellent. I really like this secondary a lot. They have some NFL talent in the secondary. I would be surprised if Bama is able to throw it around on Cincinnati like they were against Georgia. Cincinnati, to me, a bit easier to run against than Georgia, but their secondary is even better. Alabama, not really a running team. They're not really that great running the football. They've been pretty weak there this year. Bryce Young, I think, will probably make some plays with his feet in this one. But my thought is Mechie's a big loss too for Alabama. Now you have Jamison Williams, who's tremendous, but they have two corners at Cincinnati that can cover him pretty well. They can swap in and out there with Bryant and a Gardner as well. The Bearcats would want to run the football here, I would think. Have this be a lower scoring game. They don't want to shoot out here. Desmond Ritter, the question is Desmond Ritter good enough? Can he be one of those guys? Can he play the role of a Deshaun Watson? I don't think he is Deshaun Watson. I don't think anybody thinks he is. But, pro scouts like Ritter pretty well, and he'll get drafted by a team. So this is a big game for him. Saban has won 5 straight semifinal games by 20 points on average. So obviously the best coach in college football. I do think Cincinnati's being a little bit disrespected here in the number. I'm rooting for Cincinnati here. I'll just be honest. I like the underdog. I'm a fan of Cincinnati in general. So I'm rooting for Cincinnati to make this a close game. Nick, what are your thoughts on this one? You think Cincinnati can keep this close? And do you have any opinion on the total also?
Yeah, so Alabama's getting 91% of the money, right? And it's moved from 14 to 13 and a half, back to 14 a little for a short period of time, and now it's 13 and a half. So even though Bama's getting the majority of the money, the line's not moving too much. You got the strength of schedule, obviously, favoring Alabama. But I think Mechie will be a big loss in this game. No other wide receiver other than Williams has had more than 333 yards this season. Um, and that'll be the deciding factor in this game, I think, with Alabama's pass offense going up against the Cincinnati pass defense. Bama's been throwing the ball for 448 or 348 yards per game, but Cincinnati's defense is stout at the pass defense, giving up only 168 yards per game. PFF ranks them third best defensive coverage against wide receivers. So I think that's going to be the key matchup in this game, to see if Cincinnati can keep it close, can limit the passing. You're right about the running game. Alabama usually has a decent running game, but this year they're only gaining 4.1 yards per rush, which is crazy because Bama usually pushes out those stud running backs. Not this year, so it'll be interesting. Some trends I have for this game: Bearcats are 5-0 in the last 5 games against a dog, or as a dog. 6-0 ATS versus a team with a winning record. 5-1 ATS in their last 6 non-conference, whereas Crimson Tide are 4-1 ATS in their last 5 non-conference. 5-2 ATS in their last 7 neutral site games. So just some random trends to throw in there, but yeah, it'll be fun. I think. I think definitely Cincinnati has a chance to keep it closer than the experts think.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing this game. I think we have two intriguing matchups really here for the playoffs.
Yeah.
I would lean Cincinnati in this game. I also kind of like Alabama team total under. I see 35.5. That's quite a few points against a really good defense like this. Certainly, this is a team in Alabama that's capable of big things, and it's not going to surprise either of us if they put together a great performance. But this is a lot of points, so I'm excited about this one. So let's turn our attention now to Michigan and Georgia. Georgia laying 7.5 points here, Nick. I'm going to let you start us off here on this one. The total 45.5. This has actually been bet up a little bit from 44 up to 45.5. Nick, what are your thoughts on this matchup?
So it should be a slower pace game. Georgia is 109th in the nation in tempo. Michigan's 89th. Both of these defenses limit teams on big plays. They both rank third and fourth in the nation in plays of 30 yards or more. Should be an old school run first, play action type game. Who's going to win the running game? I think that's going to decide the game. Both teams run it almost about 60% of the time. Both teams are averaging 5.3 yards per rush. They're going to be going up against the Georgia defense, only giving up 2.6 yards per rush, and then Michigan gives up 3.5. So stout on defense. The surprising stat that I came up with here, Georgia has a 0 turnover margin. As good as that defense is, they rank 63rd in the nation in turnover margin. They've turned the ball over 16 times on offense. Michigan only turned it over 11 times this season, which ranks 13th in the country. So it could be an angle to look at there. Keep an eye on who's turning the ball over in this game. And has Alabama exposed the Georgia pass defense? I mean, they threw the ball for 421 yards in their last time out. So, we'll see. But I definitely, it'll definitely be a slow paced. I would lean towards the under here, and I would lean towards a dog. But some trends, couple trends here. I'll throw in some more trends here. We have Bulldogs 6-2 ATS in their last 8 bowl games, 10-4 ATS in their last 14 neutral site games as a favorite, 5-2 ATS in their last 7 non-conference, and 11-5 ATS in their last 16 neutral site games. Wolverines are 5-0 ATS in their last 5, 4-1 ATS in their last 5 non-conference games. Kyle?
Yeah, I mean, I tell you what, Nick, I think this is a fascinating game. As much as I want Cincinnati to pull the upset in that first game, but I think this is the more intriguing game as far as, Georgia was so good all year, right? They were so dominant. They weren't giving up any touchdowns. The defense was just setting records, and then they give up a bunch of points against Bama. They should be, I mean, obviously both teams are highly motivated. It's nice to talk about these games, Nick, where we're not looking at opt-outs, who's playing and who's not. We know that both these teams really want to win this game and everybody's going to play that can play.
Yeah. They're not going to cancel these games. So
Right. Yeah, they better not. Harbaugh, and he deserves credit for the season that they had this year. Certainly, they were highly rated many years and disappointed and all once they have a breakout season when people really didn't expect it this year, which is interesting. I'm not a big Stetson Bennett guy. I
No.
think that Bennett is a game manager that when you're ahead and you just want to kind of manage and hold the lead, he's good. But when he gets behind, we've seen him twice now against Alabama really struggle. So if Michigan can get a lead here, I think it would really help because we know Aiden Hutchinson's a tremendous pass rusher. That guy is a beast. He
Yeah.
dominated the Ohio State offensive line, certainly. The key here in this game to me is Michigan's offensive line against Georgia's defensive line. Michigan has given up only 27 tackles for a loss this year. And guys, I mean, that is just an insane number. 27 tackles for loss. Nobody else in the country has allowed less than 41. So they have just completely eliminated those big negative plays, which is obviously key. McNamara is not a great quarterback, but he's done a good job in this system. Corum and Haskins, really big play running backs. I lean toward Michigan plus 7.5. I don't love that the public loves Michigan so much. The public definitely is betting Michigan in this one. And the public has not been very good in bowl games. So we'll see. I don't think Michigan's going to push around the defensive line of Georgia like they did Ohio State's. That's for sure. Much better run defense here. As far as the total, Nick, I don't know what to do with this total. I kind of think maybe Georgia team total under would be a good look because I don't think the winner of this game scores very many points. I don't see this being a 30-something game for the winner. I think it's going to be in the 20s. So maybe a Georgia team total under would be my look in this game. I'm fascinated by this game. I'm looking forward to it. I hope these games live up to their billing, certainly. So
Yeah,
um,
I'm with you
let,
there.
let's look, Nick, at one game coming up on Saturday as well.
Okay.
We'll try to keep this kind of quick paced. I know neither of us have a lot of time, but we wanted to do a preview here and get some information out to everybody. Oklahoma State and Notre Dame in the Fiesta Bowl. I think Mike Gundy's underrated as a coach. 60% against the spread all time. He's just been tremendous moneymaker long term. What's he going to do in this game? And in bowl games, 10-5 straight up, 9-6 against the spread. I've seen some people say, well, Notre Dame doesn't care as much because Brian Kelly left. I think Notre Dame should be up for this game. Marcus Freeman is a guy that a lot of guys were on that team were really pumped that he was named the head coach. I don't buy into the Notre Dame doesn't care about this game theory. I think if they lose, they just lose because they weren't as good as Oklahoma State in that game. Kyron Williams opting out does hurt Notre Dame, certainly. He was playing really good here at the end of the season. Desmond Jackson transferred away from Oklahoma State. He was the one that came up like 3 or 4 inches short of them beating Baylor. Gosh,
Okay.
what a game that game was, Nick. I hope we can get one of those games here in the
Yeah.
playoffs. What a finish that game was. Both defenses have advantages to me, Nick. The defenses here are excellent. You could argue that Oklahoma State's a top 3 defense in the country. And Notre Dame's been playing like a top 10 defense in the country, especially here at the end of the season. Spencer Sanders is not very good. Notre Dame's secondary is good even without Hamilton. Notre Dame, can they run the football? I'm not sure. I don't think they'll run the football very well. I lean the under in this game, Nick. So what are your thoughts here?
We're on the same page here, Kyle. I definitely lean under as well. I just don't see how either of these offenses are going to get anything going. I mean, Oklahoma State's not good on offense, and Notre Dame hasn't really played other than Cincinnati, and you know what happened there. You got to factor in too. Oklahoma State has had more sacks on defense than anybody in the nation this season. Um, and they're going up against Notre Dame's offense that ranks 97th in giving up sacks. So they're not going to have much time to throw the ball. And the defensive rushing success rate for Oklahoma State is fifth in the league. Whereas Notre Dame is 84th on offense. So with not much time being able to throw the ball in this one, won't be able to run the ball. I definitely lean towards the under here. I don't see many points. I don't see how they get to and over here.
Yeah, I think this projects as a low scoring game. I know some of the bowls here so far in the season have been pretty high scoring, but these are two really good defenses. neither team very explosive on the offensive side. I would think that they would at least not have a bunch of big chunk plays, which can really burn the under. So, Nick, you have any other things you want to throw out here before we're done? Any other games? I know I'm kind of putting you on the spot, but any
You
other
are.
game that you want to mention here real quick?
I don't want to do it to you, Kyle, but um,
Uh-oh. Here we go.
I'll do it real quick. Um, I played Utah at 6.5, and um, I like them throughout the whole season just because of the motivation. I won't get into any stats. I just like the motivational angle here. There's some stats and opt outs to back it up, but for time's sake, Utah I liked it at 6.5. I wish I would have got it at 8 when it kicked off,
Yeah.
um, but yeah, sorry about that, Kyle. But that's a good spot for them.
Hey, I'm a Buckeyes fan, but I like money, so I like to try to
Yeah,
to get the winning side, and I can be objective in my analysis. I actually would bet Utah if I was betting that game. I will say I try not to bet Ohio State games just because I'm so invested emotionally already. I don't really need to worry about, okay, if Ohio State wins and I lose against the spread, am I happy if I bet Utah or you know what I mean? It's just it gets really
lose,
confusing.
lose.
Yeah,
Yeah,
some people say it can be an emotional hedge. To me, it just becomes a negative. So I stay away from that in general. But I
but
do think
yeah,
I do think Utah has some edges here, Nick. I think the motivational this game means far more to Utah than it does to Ohio State. Ohio State has more talent than does Utah, but several of their best players are sitting out. Whittingham's a great coach as well. I like to back him quite a bit. So,
yeah.
Nick, I appreciate you joining here today. Do you have any hot streaks that you've been on lately, or anything that you want to promote here? I know you've got your own podcast that you've been doing here lately. Let people know where they can check out your work and everything that's going on.
Yeah, Kyle. So in college basketball, I've been doing pretty well this season. I'm 26-15 in my last 41 plays,
Nice.
49-33, so 60% on the season. Um, in college basketball, love the daily grind. I haven't played too many bowl games this season, but I have a couple coming up here this weekend, which I'm excited about. So, and then I kick off. I started this a couple weeks ago. It's called the Executing the Edge podcast. You were on it last week, Kyle. Um, I drop every Friday morning, just once a week. I do a weekly podcast that goes over some of the games that are coming up for the weekend. I recap my week. And anything else that's going on, with the college or the baseball lockout. If anybody has any Twitter questions, I like to touch base and kind of make it more of an educational piece for people looking forward to the weekend. But yeah, you can find all of my premium picks and subscriptions at sportspickhub.com and obviously at Nick Hub Sports on Twitter.
Awesome, Nick. So yeah, check out his premium picks as well as his podcast for more of his thoughts. I think Nick and I are like almost tied as far as the leaderboard in college basketball so far this year. It's nice. I like getting on the leaderboard there, Nick, and seeing your name up there. So I appreciate
Nice.
you coming on, and I think we'll probably be able to talk about some college hoops one of these times coming up too. So
Yeah,
look forward to talking college hoops in the future weeks with you. And
me too.
so check out everything that's going on at huntersportspicks.com if you want my premium picks. Go to the oddsbreakers.com. Kiev has a great site there. I know Nick's part of that as well. Awesome stuff going on there all the time. Also go to sportswageringu.com and follow Sports Wagering U on Twitter, TikTok. Some special stuff coming there on some classes here in the new season, the new year. So look forward to helping reach out to everybody, and I love the community feel. Nick, thanks for coming on here, and Happy New Year to you and yours.
Thanks, Kyle. Appreciate you having me on, and same to you. Happy New Year to you and your family.
Absolutely. So everybody, I hope you have a good new year. Enjoy the games, and we will see you again next time.